Welcome into the Fade. I'm your fearless host, Clay Travis. She is Kelly Stewart, a.k.a. Kelly in Vegas. Hey, how'd that NC State bet end up working out for you?
I did not end up getting to the window with NC State. Thank God. We did the show Tuesday
that's a
last
shame.
week. I know. We did the show Tuesday last week, and I said, hey, they're on my long list. There's something to really consider here. The Vols look good, about as good as Texas looks. I also had Michigan. That was my lone loser, but I did have Cal beating Auburn. I did have Illinois beating
I whiffed on that one.
Kansas, and I had Michigan State beating Maryland. So not all was lost, but thank goodness I avoided that landmine that was NC State.
That was my blood bank. Let me go ahead and start here with my blood bank. Let me tap the veins right off the top. Let's not even wait. I don't know, Kelly, if you saw any of the South Carolina-Kentucky game. I have not seen an offensive line unable to block for passing like Kentucky against South Carolina in a major conference game in a very, very long time. I mean, it was embarrassing how bad the Kentucky offensive line was. I know there may be some weather issues because we're starting to get a little bit of rain from Francine. I think it's raining outside here in Nashville where I am. But there is no way that Kentucky offensive line can hold up against the Georgia defensive front. And so I don't know that Kentucky can score. I am confident that Georgia is going to be able to name whatever score they want against Kentucky. And so I am all in on the Georgia Bulldogs. You hairy dogs, I'll bark if necessary. I'm telling you, they are covering. They are my blood bank. I'll start off right there with my favorite bet. Kelly, do you have a favorite bet?
I do. It's actually funny you bring up that game, and maybe that's why I'm still kicking myself. South Carolina was another one of those games that was on my very long list. My producer on the Kelly and Murray show, Louis D'Onofrio, went to South Carolina. I texted him. I said, what am I missing here, kid? I love the Gamecocks. And he goes, Kelly, don't you dare. You are going to hate yourself. Yeah, well, guess what? That Gamecocks defense came to play. You mentioned that the offensive line for Kentucky wasn't able to do anything. What's the offensive line for LSU going to be able to do? That offense was so abysmal 2 weeks ago that they actually made us all think that maybe the Trojans had a defense. I think if you could put pressure on the quarterback for LSU, you're going to force him to make mistakes. We've seen it time and time again. The LSU defense doesn't do that, though. That's good news for Lenora Sellers. I really like Shane Beamer as a home dog. South Carolina, in the last 8 times he's been a home dog, he's got 4 outright upsets by 19.2 points per game.
I remember one of those because it's probably when they beat the crap out of my University of Tennessee team that would have otherwise gone to the playoff. I've actually got on that game the under. I'm not sold on LSU, to your point. That line has been dancing right around 6.5 or 7 all week. And so I kind of flirted with the idea of taking South Carolina plus the touchdown. But ultimately, I think the under's the play. I think South Carolina's pretty good on the defensive side of the ball. I don't think they have a lot on offense, but I think they're going to dictate pace, tempo, all of that at home in Columbia. So I don't dislike your move there on the underdog. I like the under in that game in particular. What else do you like in college football? Anything you love?
That was the game that was my favorite. The other game that I really like, and it seems really square, is Purdue plus 10. The Irish just completely decimated any opportunity they had to make the college football playoff last week as they lost as a 28.5 point favorite to a team from Northern Illinois. Riley Leonard looked awful. He cannot do anything under pressure. He's been picked off twice and he has yet to hit the end zone. There is some rumblings that he has a torn labrum, not on his throwing shoulder. So maybe that's why we saw this one come down from 12 and a half or so to 10, maybe even starting to see 9.5s now. Boilermakers, another team at home that I love backing as a home underdog. They've played 9 ranked teams there in West Lafayette in the last 3 years, and they have 4 outright upsets in those matchups. There's always this like old adage, Clay, called losing a game twice. Notre Dame, I'm not sure. They were pretty high flying after they beat a mediocre A&M team. I'm not sure how they get back up and get excited to play Purdue.
All right, let's hit some of these. You know Kansas pretty well. You picked Illinois last week. You just mentioned you are a Kansas State grad. I've got UNLV plus the points. This is a Friday night game, by the way, if I'm not mistaken. The team can let me know, but I'm pretty sure that's a Friday night game. I've got UNLV plus the points. Barry Odom's been very good there. They won 9 games last year, 2-0 so far this year. And the over in this one. I think there's a little bit too much valuation in Kansas. Does that have any kind of appeal to you? How would you break down the Jayhawks from a gambling perspective?
Hey, I lived in Vegas for 14 years. Shout out to Barry Odom. He has this Rebels team 2-0. They look awesome. This is the best team that they've had in a really long time. KU, I mentioned that Illinois defense last week was going to be their Achilles heel. Maybe Daniels isn't as good as advertised. Maybe it was a better thing that he was hurt all last year. Here's what I will say. KU in Lawrence is a different team than KU on the road. The problem is KU's not in Lawrence this year. Their stadium is being demolished and they're playing at Arrowhead. I want to back KU so bad here. I really, really do. But because they're not playing at home, I have genuine concerns, especially against a scrappy UNLV team. I need this game 10. So I should be rushing to back KU here. I will say this, in some of my splash contests, the line is 6.5. I did need a 7th pick, so I said, all right, I'll use KU minus 6.5 here. Lance Leopold, when coming off a straight up loss, 9-1 against the spread. I think they bounce back on Friday night.
I'm going to be up in Wisconsin. I'm flying in for the Alabama-Wisconsin game. It's the big noon game on Fox. Wisconsin, when I bet it earlier this week, all the way up to a 16.5-point home underdog. Now, I know Wisconsin has not been very good so far this year. Offense looks pedestrian. Defense kind of okay. Just really kind of, frankly, the team you would expect Wisconsin to have. A little bit boring on both sides of the ball. I took Wisconsin plus the points, and I took the under in this one. I'm going right now to check and see what the live line is because I haven't checked to see in the last day or so how much this line has moved. Do you feel strongly either way in this one, Kelly, based on the line still sticking basically there? The under has come down a little bit from where I bet it. Do you feel strongly either way?
I think the bookmakers are taking a stance here that says this is way too many points. But everybody's going to back Alabama, and rightfully so. Alabama doesn't go on the road in the Big Ten. I was floored to see this matchup when I was working on all my spreadsheets this summer. I was like, wait, what? You've got Wisconsin, who is a great home underdog as well. 6-0 in the last 6 against the spread. I almost used them, Clay. I said I used Purdue as my double-digit dog of the week. Wisconsin was second. I'm going to keep an eye on this one, make sure I'm not missing anything, but I'm most likely going to be on the cheeseheads with you.
Okay, let me hit you with several. We already talked LSU, South Carolina. I'm taking the over in Boston College, Mizzou. This one's interesting because it's the only top 25 matchup that is both teams in the top 25. I also think West Virginia, Pitt. Given the rivalry aspects of that, I'm taking the under on what is a pretty big number there. And then A&M, Florida. I don't think either team's very good. You mentioned A&M looking mediocre after they lost at home to what now looks like not as good of a Fighting Irish team. I'm taking the under in this game. I don't think either offense is very good. What do you think about, or do you have any take on any of those three? BC at Mizzou, I'm on the over. West Virginia, Pitt, I'm on the under. And then I'm on the under again at A&M UF, which to me, what, A&M is about a 3-point road dog. That line in and of itself is to me kind of a fascinating story.
Yeah, 3-point road favorite over there.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Sorry, yes.
From College Station headed into Gainesville. Look, Graham Mertz, yikes. I was wrong. I thought his second year there, he looked really bad against Miami. He basically all but lost his starting job, it would appear. Now, you have an A&M team, and most of this is Jimbo Fisher's fault, but they are horrible as road favorites. Any opportunity I get, I like to bet against them. But we have Billy Napier on the hottest seat in college football right now, and I'm not sure I can back this team. I mentioned earlier I played another game in a contest because I got a stale line that was KU minus 6.5. Florida plus 4.5 is my stale line in some of my office football pools. I have to pick 10. I'm not betting 10 games, Clay. And I'm definitely not betting Florida with my hard-earned money, but Florida's going to be in a couple of those contest plays. I do think that they're going to be able to keep this one close. Again, more of a play against A&M and how terrible they've been as a road favorite. But man, Florida, the Gators, you kind of feel almost like you need to go take a shower if you were going to actually place this wager.
Let me hit you with a couple. We mentioned, or I did on the OutKick show just a few minutes ago that I finished. We've now got the Pac-2 becoming the Pac-6. The remaining two Pac-2 teams, Washington State goes on the road at Washington. Oregon State is hosting Oregon. I don't always do this. This is a narrative. Hey, this feels like something that would be a story play combined with, man, Oregon State and Washington State, even for rivalry games, hate Washington and Oregon at a different level. Plus, I don't think Oregon's been very good this year. They were fortunate to get past Idaho. They were very lucky against Boise State. They haven't been very good on either side of the ball. And Oregon State's 2-0, somewhat impressive, to be fair. They're 16.5 home dogs. Like, in a rivalry game, that's crazy to me. And then Washington State's also been pretty good. Washington, we know, remaking their entire lineup, lost a lot of people after Kalen DeBoer belled. So I've got Washington State plus the points, and I've got Oregon State plus the points. Are you on either of these?
I'm not on either, but I don't blame your logic here. I wanted to back the Beavers, but since Jonathan Smith went to Michigan State, I'm a little leery, right? You have this team who, yes, now they're back in the Pac-12. It's so strange. The whole thing with the Pac-12 is so strange, but I digress. I would love to make a case for the Beavs. Oregon could not have looked worse in the last 2 weeks. I mean, absolutely. You've got more Nike money, more NIL money. You buying teams off other, well, you're buying players off other teams' rosters. Excuse me. I was trying to slide one in there about a player that used to be play for Kansas State that now the Ducks fans are blaming me for. But look, you've got this Beavers team, the Civil War, they're not even allowed to call it that more. They hate each other. I think we always see a tight game here. Why wouldn't you want to take the points? The Apple Cup, on the other hand, I have not seen enough out of Wazoo to actually want to bet them, but Oregon State was on my long list to actually spring the upset. I just have a feeling there's going to be a point in time where the Ducks turn it on. They've been out-yarded by Idaho and Boise State. Something does not give here.
Let me hit you with a couple of more. Ole Miss Wake. Ole Miss has outscored opponents, I think, by like 128 points. They haven't given up a touchdown yet. Wake coming off a 31-30 loss against UVA. I think the points rain down in Winston-Salem on the over in that game. And then I think there are a couple of fascinating ones. Virginia Tech, 2-2 against Old Dominion in the last 4. Old Dominion really, arguably, maybe should have beaten South Carolina in Columbia. So I've got Old Dominion plus the 2 touchdowns there. And then Colorado at Colorado State. We all watched the overtime game last year. I got Colorado State. To me, Colorado feels like a car with a flat tire that's still trying to drive fast, and sooner or later that rim starts to spark and the whole car catches on fire. And then I think Tennessee's going to blow Kent State out. Kent State lost to St. Francis, gave up 23 points to them. Tennessee's between big games, kind of a trap scenario, but at home, I think they're going to score 60 on Kent State pretty easy. So I've got Tennessee minus 49, Colorado State plus 7.5. And then Ole Miss Wake, the over, and Old Dominion plus 15. Do any of those stand out to you? That's my entire slate, by the way, of college football games.
Do you think Josh Heupel knows the spread?
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
Then I could see why you would want to lay 49. But I'm going to tell you why you got to be really cautious here. They have Oklahoma on deck. You mentioned it's like a flat spot. It's a trap. They do not care, and he may, depending on if he likes his backers or not and wants to cover, he may start putting in some backup guys. Things go a little haywire. Just be cautious. That's a lot of points to lay. I am on Colorado State with you, Clay. I know it's going to be a square dog with fleas. Everybody likes them after what we saw last year. But I cannot help betting against Coach Prime and his kid, who basically all but walked in the locker room early because they were getting their asses kicked by Nebraska. Jay Norvell, I hyped him up week 1 going into Austin, and they got smoked. But now they're back at home in Fort Collins, 11-4-1 against the spread as home dogs. You cannot lay points. Whether you want to take Colorado State or not, you cannot lay points with Colorado on the road. The past 3 seasons, they have lit money on fire. This is not a spot. It's either Colorado State or pass.
That's my slate of college football. I got 15 picks. I will tweet them out. Kelly has like 3, but I am fearless. I am firing on 15 different games. All right, let's go to the NFL. And guys, clip this so that we can share it before the game actually starts, because this is a great Thursday night football game. I am legitimately, I said earlier, I don't know if you heard, I got to go watch my 8th grader play his football game. I'm super excited to watch that. We're going to get pizza. We're going to come back home, and the Travis boys and maybe Laura, depending on what she wants to do, are going to sit down and watch Thursday night football all together. I'm on the Bills plus the points. Surprising to me a little bit that they're the underdog like they are here. I like the over. I think we're going to get some points. So I am on the Bills and the over tonight. Do you agree with me, Kelly, that Josh Allen, I think, has to be considered the second best quarterback in the NFL right now? Patrick Mahomes, unquestionably the best quarterback. Who would you even argue is the better second quarterback in the NFL right now?
If you want just your run-of-the-mill, size-wise, athleticism-wise, quarterback IQ, I would agree with you, Josh Allen. But I think that Patrick Mahomes has now created a hybrid version, and that is the quarterback is mobile. And Josh Allen, he was just slightly more mobile, and I would be able to say with absolute certainty,
he's the most mobile quarterback in the NFL other than Lamar Jackson.
No, there are times where I need Josh when I am backing him, particularly against teams named Kansas City or Philadelphia that have really mobile. I'm like, Josh, just go. You're a big-bodied man. Run them over. He frustrates me. But yes, I would agree with you.
Why do you hate Josh Allen? This Josh Allen slander really staggers me.
He's cost me some money. He's cost me some money. I need you to put your body on the line. You're getting paid millions of dollars.
Who would you take if Patrick Mahomes is off the board? My answer is easy. Josh Allen is, if I'm drafting for a franchise, he's my guy. Now, look, Joe Burrow, there used to be an argument. I don't know what's going on with Burrow. He's out on these fashion show runway stuff. Lamar Jackson, long-term, I thought we saw down the stretch of the opening Thursday night game. When you need him to be super accurate, he's not always super accurate. So, and then you toss in Jalen Hurts. Come on, no way I'm taking Jalen Hurts.
Oh, I'm not taking Jalen Hurts. I'm just saying when playing guys like Jalen Hurts. You're a better C.J. Stroud. Great example of what I would love Josh Allen to be, but we don't know. We don't have enough data and sample sizes on
you're
C.J.
out to
Stroud.
lunch on this. Which side are you on Thursday night football?
I am not on a side. If I was going to bet this game, I would be on the chalk.
You and Furman hate betting on games that people watch.
Okay.
You guys, you're always betting on, MAC action on a Tuesday night at 11 p.m., trying to find some
West Coast late
slim
night,
advantage to take advantage of.
Clay, I agree with you. I never hardly ever get involved in primetime games. We saw this one hit 3 for a brief moment in time, back to 2.5 juiced. Tua at home as under a touchdown, 7-0 straight up against the spread. 8-2 when it's in back-to-back home games against the spread. I like Tua. No, Tua is not Josh Allen, but I bet against Tua last week and luckily won by the hook with the Jags. I don't want to bet against Tua this week. Maybe if you need some action and you can find a decently priced teaser under -120, you could tease Buffalo. I could see this being a touchdown game.
By the way, don't we play in fantasy this week?
We do. I was waiting. I was going to wait until the end of the show.
You know who's favored, by the way? It's me, because I did a better job drafting. But let's keep going.
Did you see my
Here
win
the
last
rest
week,
of my.
though?
I don't want to talk about it. It was a. Oh, wow. I didn't see that. I was worried about Brock Purdy didn't show up for me. All right, here are the rest of my picks. I'm on the Bucks plus the points against the Lions. Another great game. I got the Jags -3 against the Browns. Kelly, I don't know how much you watched Deshaun Watson, but I cannot conceive of how he has just completely fallen to the wayside. He looks like someone who's never played football. He got sacked on 4th down without even being able to throw the football. I mean, he's not Will Levis, thankfully, if you're anybody other than me backing Will Levis. But he's crazy. The Chargers -5.5 at the Panthers, which was, by the way, the worst performance maybe we've seen from an NFL team in a long time.
Worst.
I got the
See, we
Giants,
can all agree on
Commanders.
who the worst NFL quarterback is.
Yeah. Giants, Commanders under, and I'm stunned by that. I'll come back to that in a sec. Steelers, Broncos under. Those are all my picks. I'm going to write them up here in the next couple of minutes. They'll be up on OutKick this afternoon. Kelly, what stands out to you in the NFL slate? And we agree, I never would have believed Bryce Young would be as awful as he has been. I loved him at Alabama. He's been an unmitigated disaster so far as a quarterback.
It's been really bad. So just to update you guys, Clay Travis is projected to score 135, and I am projected to score 130. Clay, 5-point favorite is one of my favorite lines in the NFL. 5.5-point favorite, and I still can't bet the Bengals against the Chiefs because I'm tired of losing money betting against the Chiefs. I finally had enough. But I haven't lost enough money on your quarterback. I tweeted this yesterday, and I thought, gosh, this is just disturbing. I cannot believe that I'm going to go back to the well here with the Titans. I understand what we saw. And if they would have just punted or taken a knee or done anything other than Will Levis throwing a pick six, a fumble, and of course, another interception,
don't
Tennessee
get a
would have won that
freaking
game.
punt blocked and return for a touchdown. The only team that seems able to get punts blocked and return for touchdowns in the NFL is the Titans. And then don't throw an underhanded interception on the way down to the ground. Kelly, I said this. I'm going to an 8th grade football game. I think the starting 8th grade quarterback would get benched if he threw an interception like that in the 8th grade football game. A lot of high school coaches would bench their quarterback if they did that. A lot of colleges would. He did it earlier in the game, too, to try to avoid a sack. So it's not even like it was some sort of crazy brain malfunction. He intentionally did it.
You take the sack. Point blank period, the end. The reality is, though, I didn't bet on Tennessee last week because of Will Levis, and I'm not betting on Tennessee this week because of Will Levis. I'm betting on that defense. Caleb Williams was lost out there. This defense put tons of pressure on him. The defensive line did everything they could to do to win that game. I think it's going to be a rough go for Aaron Rodgers. I also like the under in this game. 4.5 was what the contest line was. I already clicked it in, went to bet it. This one was 4. Now it's 3.5. I think we're going to see some buyback if it ever gets to 3. I already hate myself. I did not make Tennessee my best bet. And instead, I decided to make Denver my best bet because those are the 2 ugliest plays on the board this week. I'm going to keep my NFL card light. Last week, I had 5 NFL plays, and it was awful. I should have never done that to myself. I think it's going to be Justin Fields for Pittsburgh on Sunday, but we don't know. They have not officially ruled Russell Wilson out, at least not as a couple hours ago. And I love Mike Tomlin, but I'm going to bet against Mike Tomlin here as a road favorite and take another really solid defense in Denver. Denver's defense was able to stifle Geno Smith not once, but twice. They got 2 safeties in that game. It was absolutely crazy to see. Broncos 6-1 as a home dog as coming off a loss. I'm going to take the Denver Broncos here. I got the +3 earlier in the week, down to 2.5. I think they're an excellent teaser spot if you'd like to tease them with the Bills tonight, because I do think it's going to be a really close game there in Miami.
All right, there you have it. I'm going to take some of Kelly's money this weekend thanks to my superior fantasy football team, and we will discuss that coming in next week. Anything you want to close with, Kelly?
That's all I got. Good luck to everybody. Good luck to your Vols in somehow winning by 50 before playing Oklahoma. I may have them circled next week in Stillwater. Or excuse me, not Stillwater, Norman. Excuse me.
Look at headlines Tennessee's moved from a 5.5 point, I think, underdog in that game to now a 3.5 point favorite. We'll see how Oklahoma looks. I think against Tulane, they did not look good against Houston. But that may well be, I think it probably will be, the biggest and best game of the week in the college football slate next week. Can't wait. Kelly, good stuff. I'm Clay Travis. She's Kelly Stewart, a.k.a. Kelly in Vegas. We'll be back with you next Thursday for another edition of The Fade, where we'll continue to celebrate my excellence, my brilliance, and my waxing of her when it comes to fantasy football. See you guys then.